So I just got back from, I guess what we call the city. We had to go in there and buy an air rifle because we have a dirty little culprit has started to knock off our laying chickens. And of course Sarah's got a bunch of exotic chickens and they all hand raise them for the time they're little eggs. And Sarah's daughter are like any mother. You kill their babies and they're on fire, right? Meanwhile, they couldn't kill anything. But when you start knocking off their chickens, that changed the whole world. So I didn't feel like blasting guns here. I mean, we can shoot guns in the property, but I don't want to freak the neighbors out because I also had to get the girls dialed into how to shoot this thing. So anyways, I went to town today and I bought a frickin' pellet gun, an air rifle that shoots 1,650 feet per second. The thing sounds like a 22 when it goes off and actually has a little bit of a kick. Crazy. It's got a scope on it and everything. Maybe I'll put a picture up if I can think of it while I'm editing, but that was pretty bizarre, man. It is a nasty little weapon. Air guns are not toys for kids anymore, I'll tell you what. But of course, in typical woman fashion, they were deadly accurate with that thing right off the word go. So now we've got that gun in the kitchen near the porch with the pellets, and next time the culprit. But here's the coincidence: as I'm sighting in that thing, just got to sight in, the sucker comes flying down over top of the coop, underneath the trees, right in the front here, and lands up in a tree above me about 50 feet away. And I was frantically loading the gun to pop him and he got away. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Once they taste those chickens right in their front lawn, they're not going to stop, right? They're in the coop, so that's the excitement from today. Oh, but anyway, sorry. But anyway, on another note, I couldn't wait to get another sheriff done here. So I had a native friend, First Nations friend, who originated from Kamloops, up over the hill from where I was previously living. And while I was living there, he emailed me, all of us, to share an experience he had when he was logging. I think he had a Feller Buncher, which to anybody who's not familiar with that, it's like an excavator body, okay? It's like a big piece of machinery, an excavator body. It just has some different equipment on the boom for logging. And it broke down on him, and he had to sit there all night long waiting for the next crew shift to come and change. He's on night shift. And something came and stepped onto his machine while he was sitting in it. And that story kind of struck home with me. It just really freaked me out because I know the area. I could picture the logging block. I could picture the equipment. I could picture it being blackout. Now, unfortunately, he put me right there when he shared his stories, the thing stepping on to the equipment that he was sitting in. And he said the sound obviously can only be made on that steel covering from something heavy. And when he flashed on his lights, this thing jumped off and went running to the timber, and he saw it. It was a full-on Sasquatch. Sabe, whatever you want to call it, it was one of them. I don't think that was his only experience. We got another experience walking on a road late at night. But anyway, this same gentleman emailed yesterday. I caught it. And I can actually meet up with him and a couple other loggers. They're still logging. I'm going to meet up with them next month on my way up north again, hopefully. As you'll see why shortly once I share this email with you. This is something else. Possibly it's going to be something absolutely amazing, and soon we will hear exactly what happened, because he is meeting up with, let me get to the email share, right? Let me get the email share, we'll talk about it in a minute. This is something else. Alright, here we go. This is titled Northern BC Loggers Paranormal Events. Hi Steve, how are you doing? Just want to say thank you for all you do to help us people get our Sasquatch encounters off our chest. I sent you my encounter a while back when I had the creature climb onto my logging machine by Spence's Bridge, BC. I would never have told anybody about my experience if not for your YouTube channel. Thank you again. And you are very welcome, and right on. That is excellent. Awesome news. Anyways, I've worked in many logging camps and have met and worked with a lot of interesting older loggers and heard many stories. I just moved to Mackenzie, BC. It was the fall of 2018. I ended up meeting and working with an older logger and still have a friendship with this gentleman to this day. He was about 60 years old and a tough son of a gun, as he was still hand falling at the time. He came across to me as a no bullshit, work hard or stay home kind of a guy. You know the type, old school logger. We will call him D for this encounter. I got to know this fellow well and still occasionally work with him. Anyways, one evening we were in the rec room in a logging camp, watching TV, and a Finding Bigfoot commercial came on and he glanced up from the book he was reading to watch a commercial. I noticed he was interested, and I asked him if he had ever seen a Sasquatch. He just looked at me and nodded his head and got up and said, "Let's go for a smoke outside." Well, D told me back in 2015 when he was working up Williston Lake, BC, summertime. Now, Williston Lake, that is where that previous American veteran was camping with his dog and had that monstrous, angry thing with red eyes come out of the game shell behind his van where he was camping by the lake. I believe it lifted up his van, whatever the hell happened. It caused extreme PTSD until he mailed us and shared his story. And he actually emailed us a little while back to tell me that he was back into going out in the outdoors with his dog and his friend. Everything was a lot better. But this is the exact same lake. And coincidentally, this is as well where I just was, solo. Williston Lake from me, this place he mentioned, was where I was videoing for you guys solo a couple weeks ago, and that was to my west, not very far away from where I just was. A couple mentions there. Now, for some people who don't know this, the Ministry of Forests makes all logging operations in the summertime have firefighting equipment on site in case of a fire. Shovels, pumps, hose, etc., and big water tanks full of water on wheels so a skidder can pull it around in case of a fire. Now, for any of you who don't know what a skidder is, it's like a bulldozer, okay? In a way, it's like a bulldozer with big tires on it and chains, and those things go up and down the logging cuts like nothing. Well, old D said one morning he showed up for work and noted the 1,000-gallon water tank was missing from the job site. He knew that nobody could have stolen it because after the workday, a crew member would park the skidder across the road, preventing anyone from driving on the work site. He said he asked anyone over the radio if anyone moved it, but all he got was a reply, nobody touched it. He waited till daylight and walked over to where the water tank was parked and noticed that the trailer was dragged down a 100-foot hill of cut timber and over stumps and up a small hill. He found the trailer about 500 yards away from where it was parked. He wondered who would have dragged the trailer up and down hills to its final resting place. Was it a prank, he thought? Then he studied the ground more and he could not find any skidder tracks or forestry excavator tracks to see what could have pulled the full 1,000-gallon trailer. He studied the ground for equipment tracks, but he said that he could make out some distinct footprints that he could see in the uncut part of the logging block where the trailer was found. He said the tracks were 2 hard hat lengths and a bit. That's pretty freaking big. I'm guessing he measured the track with his hard hat. D said he knew right away what dragged the trailer down the hill. Probably a pissed off Sasquatch was mad we were cutting his home down, he thought. He wondered what the crew would think if he told them what he thought brought the water tank down to its final resting spot. I never asked D what the crew thought of what happened or if he even told them, but he did say he had some difficulty getting the water tank back to the road with the skidder. We both then discussed how strange one of these beings would be to have pulled a 1,000-gallon. We both then discussed how strong one of these beings would have to be to pull a 1,000-gallon water tank through freshly logged area, over tree stumps, and all kinds of brush. Now, for any of you hunters out there listening, you know what it's like to pull a deer over top of a log or a stump. Can you imagine that? 1,000-gallon full water tank over stumps and uphill. This is freaking amazing. I asked D if they had any more problems cutting the logging block where this happened. He said no. He also said that there are many encounters by loggers, but many do not talk about them. I asked D if he had any other encounters, and he said yes. He did say his brother was hand falling Big Cedar in Blue River, BC in '96. Now, Blue River, for all you, we had recently had somebody who was fishing with his bully father who belittled the shit out of him. Remember that guy who told the story when he was a boy? Trout fishing with his dad and he saw that thing up the bank. And his dad was belittling him in camp in front of everybody and drinking. Remember that? Well, that was from an access road near Blue River. Also, where I told you about that ex-girlfriend of mine years ago driving from, basically from Whistler to Edmonton, Alberta. And that highway is past Blue River. And that rise in the highway is just before Blue River. And that's where she had that thing loping along, looking in the car window at her. All right? A couple points made there. Before we carry on, me and my interruptions, huh? He was in the middle of falling. Now listen to this. He was in the middle of falling a huge cedar tree that was about 15 feet around at the base of the tree. And the cedar was rotten in the middle. And that there was a huge human-like skeleton in the base of the tree, in the hollowed, rotten part of the tree. I tried to prod D for more info on his brother's event, and he said it's not my story to tell. And someday he would introduce me to his brother. Well, me and D and his brother are going moose hunting by Mackenzie this month. I can't wait to get a few beer back and sit by the fire, and definitely will be asking him about this. If you're ever passing through Mackenzie Junction or need a hand or any help, hit me up. Gotcha. And I saved your name by request. No problems, my man. And yes, I will be stopping by there. Probably be, I don't know, we'll see how timing goes. I will, as a direct message for you, I will probably be driving up. It's either going to be the beginning of November. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be in November. I'm coming up and I'm going to hook up with all the other people that I'm supposed to have hooked up this last go around. But if those fellas are up there too, and you guys want to sit around and have a beer with me and have a bullshit session, I'm definitely 100% interested in hearing about that. For sure, and whatever else they have to share. Especially more for me as well, because I frequent basically all the places that you guys do, right? You guys are logging and I'm running around like a ding-dong in and out of the mountains. So I want to know what's going on and where, and I also just want to know more knowledge. I want to know as much knowledge as I can, and I want to gather it up so I can share with everybody here in this channel too, all right? Because we are all in this together. We only have each other. We cannot depend on the people that we have unfortunately enabled to become so-called leaders. It's backfiring on us basically on a large scale now. It's nothing, there's probably something we can do about it, but it takes a lot of people to put on their big pants and band together and man the F up and do it. But anyway, another topic. But that's one hell of a share, is it not? And there's something else. And I'll tell you what, I just built a wood platform out of 4x4 posts and 2x10s. I made a platform to put a 1,200 gallon tank, water tank on top of it. And got a water truck over to fill it for the horses in the summertime here. And that weight was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So I think that's probably a little more why this share struck home, like, you know, really had a little bit of impact on my mind, was because I'm absolutely familiar with watching that weight from that water as it filled up on top of that platform, what it did to it. And to picture some kind of a being with hands as a grip, just hands like ours, much larger. The freaking size and the strength of that thing to drag a 1,000 gallon full tank of water over top of stumps, down to the bottom of the hill and up the other side. What? Now do you see, now do a lot of you people who haven't had these experiences, now do you understand possibly better why so many people have also said, I didn't want to piss it off by shooting it. I remember specifically a guy from Florida. I seen him on an interview a long time ago, and he had a 30-06 point at this thing. And the guy asked him, he's sharing a story with, said flat out, why did you shoot it? And he looked at him straight up, and you can tell by the look on his face. He said, I didn't want to piss it off. Could you imagine that? I mean, I am absolutely intimately familiar with what a high-power rifle does to big game, especially even as an example, I watched a moose. This might be a little, this isn't that nasty of talk, but this is just fact to lend you guys some knowledge that are familiar. I was watching my old guy partner and his hunter on my spotting scopes, like a telescope, spot scope, and I'm sitting on a rock watching these guys. I'd already got my hunter, a great big moose, and they went down off this hill out in this big alpine basin to knock over a big moose for this other guy. Now these moose have got summer fat on them. They're probably very far up north BC, where the farther north you go, ungulate body mass gets bigger. It's just a biological term called Bergman's Law, look it up. But it's larger body mass, so don't be surprised when I tell you the size of the moose. So the moose's body's up there probably around 1,600 pounds, I'm guessing. Conservative, 1,600 pounds. And the angle I've been watching this in the spotting scope was the moose was butt to head to me, and they were shooting 90 degrees in front of me in my field of view. So I got the moose facing away from me, they're in the field of view, and they're shooting this way at the moose, right? And when you're a hunter, when you harvest game with a rifle, it's almost like a video game. You look up, you pull the trigger, and when they fall over, it's like they fall over when they do, okay? But it wasn't until then that I saw what a bullet does. And that .338 Magnum, he shot that moose, and it knocked that 1,600 to 1,800 pound animal. It knocked it sideways. It was literally knocked off its feet, and it was trying to scramble to get his feet back up underneath him, and they just went boom, down he went. But I remember seeing that power of, I'm not a gun guy. Guns are like a tool to me, like a crescent wrench. I need a gun, I go grab it, I use it, I put it away. I'm not into shooting, I'm not a gun guy. But I was really, it really took me back when I seen the actual power of that tiny little piece of lead, when it knocked 1,600 to 1,800 pounds of heavy, dense flesh, knocked it sideways. It probably went about 15 feet sideways. So what I'm getting at is, could you imagine having something like that pointing it at one of these beings and thinking that you're undergunned? That's a little hard it's tough for me to picture that, but so many people have relayed that feeling, that reaction, that feeling when they've had a high-power rifle in their hands. You know, 30-06 is the high-power rifle. It'll kill a grizzly bear, it'll kill any moose. You know, 338's bigger. I have a bit of a missile launcher called a 300 Ultra Mag, and that's like a frickin' anti-aircraft round. And it's hard for me to picture possibly having a face-off with one of these beings that's powerful enough to drag a 1,000-pound water tank. And it's hard to imagine thinking that you were undergunned when facing something, once you know what these damn rifles can actually do. And that's pretty intimidating, right? I think there's a lot of people out there that can't quite wrap their minds around what these thousands and thousands of people are actually sharing with them and talking about. You know, this isn't, it's just not a bad human being. You know, it's not a freak of a human being, a big 300-pound steroided up, angry at the planet bully. This is something just so far more intimidating and intense, and to so many people it's so impossible to wrap your mind around exactly what we are really seriously talking about and what tens of thousands of people have been dealing with. You know? It's something else. It is absolutely, it's amazing. In a way, for me, it's a bit of a bummer, because once you've seen one of these damn things, you have that lifelong sentence that you cannot escape. They're probably, imagine just trying to find someone to counsel you and to help give you the tools so you can deal with it without laughing at you. They're belittling you or giving you a prescription drug, right? It's a very serious topic for many. It's a difficult topic, but it's a topic that needs to be spoken about out loud, as do many other topics today especially. But obviously I started off with this, and I will see it through to the end, no matter what, no matter who comes and tries to shit on this, no matter who tries to ruin this. It's not going to happen. ever. It's just not. So anyway, I'm babbling. Let's get on with it. While I'm here, I can share more, but I really want to get that email shared with you. Because this is actually really something else. It's not a joke. It's not an attention grabber. It's not for clicks. It's not for attention. This is a very, very serious fact. It's a very serious thing going on for tens of thousands of people. All right, here we go. What do we got? That was quite the example, wasn't it? Was it not? All right, what do we got? 2 Sasquatch stories, 3 years apart. Hi, Steve. I have 2 vocal encounters to share. The first one happened in 2007 in June. We were camped at a very popular campground in Washington called Horseshoe Cove Campground at Baker Lake at the base of Mount Baker. Lovely night, paddling on the lake, campfires, and just a great day. Normally go backcountry, off-road camping / hiking, Alaska, Yukon, BC, but took ease with this lovely break just to chill. I actually chatted with several other campers, and it was just a delightful day / evening. As the night got long, we all started to head to campers and tents. I'm usually the last to retire, but I finally did around 1:30 a.m., settling into the sleeping bag and dozing off, only to be awakened by the most blood-chilling scream coming from the north end of the lake. Nothing I had ever heard before, and we've had bears and cougars in our camps and know the sounds of elk, deer, and pretty much every animal in the wild. We are seasoned backcountry travelers, simply taking a break and chilling at Mount Baker. This scream woke the entire campground up, and people were up pretty much freaking out. Some people actually packed up and left. Freaky sound. My second story is a bit different and closer encounter. So 3 years later, May 2010, we're hiking / mountain biking Mount St. Helens. Been there for a few days and decided to move camp to a different location. Typically we do off-road rustic camping. So we drive away from everything. We were on the southeast aspect of the mountain, out of the blast zone of the devastation that was never damaged. We drive for about 30 miles looking for a spot to park on the Westy van. We find a small clearing and pull in. Have not seen even one vehicle for hours. We set up camp, cook dinner, and start a fire. All's good. Sitting there around the fire talking about where we'll go tomorrow and what places we'll ride and hike. Typical conversation for us, just chilling. We are surrounded by forest on all sides. The silence is amazing, but what breaks it is deafening. From the south of us comes this guttural screaming, chirping, and really loud vocalizations that freak the shit out of us. This goes on for about 20 seconds. My partner makes a comment, and keep in mind she was born and raised in BC with bears and cougars literally in her backyard. What the F is that? I said jokingly, Bigfoot. She gets pissed and says that's bullshit. Right after that exchange, the forest to the north gets crazy with some sounds as the first sounds, going off crazy vocals. Then back and forth for at least a minute or so, like they were communicating. All this time our dog was silent in fear. He barked at stumps and shadows and he said nothing. We decided to spend the rest of the night inside the van. The rest of the evening was quiet. There you go. Welcome to the Club of No Return. I don't think that sound is anything to be envied, that experience, for anyone. I've heard a lot of strange sounds in the past where I've been, but I haven't had that extreme roaring scream go off next to me yet, and I surely hope I don't have it happen. I really don't want it to happen myself, because sometimes, you know, you have enough experiences as it is, and you try to keep your shit together and stay brave enough and confident. You can force yourself to keep doing it by yourself, and you keep doing it, but sometimes I wonder if one day I just might end up receiving something like that. It just might possibly take me over the edge and ruin it, and I won't want to go back out there. And I really dread the possibility of that happening, because that would really, really mess up my existence, right? I mean, what else would what would I do? Take up golfing, you know? All right. Get one more out and I'm gonna cut this short. So we got some dinner to be had. Sunday night, by the way. Strange occurrences, please omit my name off on your channel. First of all, I want to commend you and your awesome YouTube channel. Thanks for all the info. Helping sending this to the correct mail. I know you're very busy. I will get to the meat and potatoes. I live in South Central Georgia on almost 25 acres. We've been here for 3 years and I hunt every year. In the past few years, I've had some strange things happen while I was in the woods. It started as just feelings. I spent 6 years in the Marines, so I'm not afraid of being in the woods. That being said, on one occasion I was walking out of the woods when I felt a strange feeling of anxiety. I pulled my handgun almost immediately and felt like I was being stalked. A couple of times I felt the need to stand my ground and watch a certain area of the woods. I never saw any movement, I couldn't hear anything, but I knew something was there. Upon exiting the woods, the anxiety left me and all was good. This happened several times over the past 3 years. We used to have a pack of coyotes that ran through our property, but this year they have moved on. Maybe coincidence. Today I was checking my feeders and installing new cameras when I heard what sounded like someone hitting an oak tree with a wooden bat not 80 yards from me. I stood there waiting for more noise, but nothing came. I waited several minutes and I said out loud, I want to be in peace so we can share these woods. I do not want war, but I'm not scared of you. The choice is yours. There was no feeling of anxiety or fear. This is the first I've heard a tree knock. Hopefully you get a chance to read this. I know you're busy. I would like your feelings on the matter and any suggestions would be appreciated. Thank you in advance. Okay, man, gotcha. Thanks for that share. And I'm pretty sure you know what to do. You already did it. I always do that. If I feel any kind of anxiety or apprehension or something sharing on me, I always say it out loud always by myself. But I just let it flat out. I know you're here. You know I'm here. I don't want anything to do with you. Period. But if you threaten me, I will do everything I can to kill you. But a lot of people who have the bleeding heart thing going on with Sasquatch and not being mean to them. What I just said stands for anything and anybody, as it should, right? When you are out in the wilds, depending on yourself and your natural given senses and your weapons that you have, being a human being, because we're limited physically, right? We can't really rip at anybody with our claws and teeth. So we have what we have created to keep us safe, which is firearms. And it wouldn't matter if it was one of these beings or a human being. If somebody's coming to attack you and kill you in the woods, you're going to kill their ass if you can. That's nature at its finest. That's what you're going to do. So I say that out loud and I say it with confidence and I mean it, right? And so far so good for me, although I do get reminded of their presence at least 2 or 3 times a year. So far so good though for me. So sorry, getting back to you, sir, and after you emailing me, that's what I do, man. It sounds like you got it covered, so that's what I do. But number one is don't quit. Don't back down, don't quit, don't leave, but also don't do anything stupid. And inform your neighbors, inform your family, look them square in the eye, and be absolute, straight up honest with them, and share with them what's going on, where that is, and share with them and let them know what's up, so that they have a fair chance of making their own choice as to whether or not they want to go frequent that same area, whether it be alone or with children or whatever, right? That's the biggest point I'm getting across with many people today is we all deserve the right to know, right? And the hard truth, the truth can be hard sometimes. And a lot of people want to shoot the messenger, right? Or shit on the messenger. But as long as you deliver an honest message, you're good, right? In case somebody goes and has an experience in the same area, has a freaking nervous breakdown, the world gets turned upside down, they possibly lose their job, get divorced, never leave indoors ever again. And then they find out that you knew. And then they're possibly going to blame you for what happened to them, right? So that's another reason why I prefer to be straight up and honest, take from it what you will or leave it. I don't give a shit, but at least I told you. And I'm not lying, right? So there you go. There's some thoughts, a lot of rants, and a couple emails, shares. A few points to get across and some encouragement for everybody to speak openly, be honest, inform your neighbor and inform your family no matter how hard it is. All right? Wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to know? If you did not know anything about these things, And besides a stupid TV commercial or an embarrassing reality show, that's all you knew about this, and you never gave it any attention. And then all of a sudden, you have something of these descriptions harassing you, growling and screaming at you, staring you down, possibly telling you in your mind it could rip your face off anytime it felt like, and there's nothing you can do about it. Don't you think you might want the fair chance of having that honest to God knowledge pre-warned before it happens to you? Maybe, possibly, you know? I know I do. I don't give a shit how crazy it sounds today. I want to know. I want people to tell me. I want to know. I don't want to bumble around the face of this planet like a brain dead person anymore, right? Because unfortunately that's what people prefer these days. The people in control prefer us to be smart as pickles. I don't want to be as dumb as a pickle, right? Anyway, gotta get going. I'm babbling a bit. I got horses to catch and dinner to eat. And I will be back out at her, and hopefully I can find some new places soon in my immediate area to explore, bring everybody with me, and share everybody's knowledge. Talk to you, man.